name is Fitz. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you. I want to say I appreciate you. Man, a lot has been going on. I wanted to get on and just give my thoughts on pretty much I don't want to say this is the last time I'm going to talk about this, but I would hope that it doesn't continue. The Drake, Kendrick, J.Cole, Rick Ross, etc. beef. It's like more people just keep jumping in and jumping in. And I want to just give a breakdown of what I think is going on and highlight something that maybe a lot of people are missing. Maybe not you, but a lot of people that engage in participating in the furthering of this content. I think you should maybe give this some thought. So these rap beefs, right? When these rap beefs start, the general public, we don't know whether these rap beefs are real, whether they're fake. We don't know the backstory. We don't know what caused it. We don't know what the consequences are going to be. We just understand that there are two people, or in this case, as Drake said, 20v1. But there's people that we hear on songs who are having a disagreement, or who are going back and forth with each other, right? They're going back and forth, and oftentimes I ask myself, why is it entertaining? Why is it entertaining to see rap stars, hip hop people go back and forth with each other? And as I thought about it deeper, I think what it is for me, when I look at it analytically, is that many of these rappers, many of these stars, they portray themselves a certain way on their songs. They're portraying themselves as killers. They're portraying themselves as gangbangers. They're portraying themselves as people that you shouldn't cross, and they'll do this and they'll do that, right? So we don't know if that's real or fake in many of these cases. And so now when you have these rap beefs, part of that is you now get to see whether this person is real or whether they're fake, how they handle these situations, right? It's like, to use a basketball analogy, imagine you never got to see if Kobe was a great shooter until somebody else called him out. Well, now we want to see if you're really about what you say you're about. And so rap, in large part, has become about how well you can describe yourself as a criminal in a lot of cases, how well you can describe yourself as somebody who engages in, let's say, activity that the normal person just really doesn't engage in. You're openly talking about shooting people, killing people, disrespecting women, all of those things. And hey, I engage in listening to rap as well. I don't think many people actually engage in many of the stuff they talk about. But the point that I'm making is, with many of these artists, we don't actually get to see whether they're real or not until one of these beefs come up, right? So when there's a Rick Ross and Drake beef, now it's like, okay, Rick Ross, you're saying this on songs. Drake, you're saying this on songs. Are y'all really gonna stand on business? And I think there's an attention factor that's there, that's hidden beneath the culture of rap. I think that there's an attention factor, and I think the rappers at the top, they understand this. They understand how to garner attention. I was watching an interview where 50 Cent was, I think it was 50 Cent. Someone was talking about 50 Cent, and they were talking about how 50 Cent had dissed them, right? Dissed them. 50 Cent dissed them. I can't remember the artist, but 50 Cent dissed them, and they never responded. They didn't respond. So this artist had saw 50 Cent one day. I guess 50 Cent had pulled them aside. Pulled them aside. What up? Good morning, y'all. Good morning. 50 Cent had pulled them aside and said, I threw you the oop, and you never slammed it home. I threw you the oop. I dissed you. I'm the hottest artist out right now. I dissed you, and you never responded. You dropped the ball. I threw you the oop. And the artist was confused. And then he thought about it. And he was like, you right. Because here you have one of the 50 Cent, one of the largest artists of all time dissing you. And if you even respond to that, how much attention are you gonna get? And this is part of the rap game, right? This is part of the rap game. You get attention for certain behaviors. We understand this. We understand that in rap you get attention. Yeah, I think it was Chameleonaire. We understand that in rap you get attention for certain activities, for certain behaviors. In basketball you get attention for certain behaviors. You get attention for being a great blocker, a great defensive player, a great offensive player. You get attention maybe for your interviews after the game, right? All of these things garner attention. And in rap, one of the ways you get attention is by having these beefs. So I asked myself, why would an artist like Drake, why would he engage in any type of beef? Because I'm a be real. Like, just from a star perspective, I'm not talking about rap because, that's more subjective. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about your rapping abilities. Just from a star perspective, why would an artist like Drake engage in any beef with anybody? Because there's only a couple artists that are actually on Drake's level in terms of influence, in terms of notoriety, in terms of just the attention that Drake garners, right? Drake is an A plus plus superstar. Why would he engage in any attention? Or why would he engage in any of these beefs? And it is the attention, because attention can work for you and against you. So when a Kendrick comes out and he says something about Drake on a track, it's no longer just about I'm a bigger artist than you, shut up. It's about, in this rap space, certain things garner attention, and the lack of a response can garner attention. And so if Drake wants to continue business as usual, where he's getting on records talking this and talking that, and talking about how tough he is, and talking about how he'll do this if you cross him, he has to respond, because now that messes up the authenticity of what he's speaking about. It messes up what he's talking about in these records. We got some comments. Because he has to prop his spot. Yep, he has to prop his spot. That's exactly what I'm saying. So for me, it's like, what I'm taking away from this, and I'm gonna relate it back to life. What I'm taking away from these hip hop beefs is that if you want to be successful in whatever space you're in, you need to understand what are the attention triggers, right? What are the things that get the attention, and focus in on those. I think Gary Vee has a book coming out called Day Trading Attention or something like that. I've been looking forward to that book. But this is a perfect example, because especially with the Drake and the Rick Ross beef that's going on right now, this is no longer just rappers rapping and who had the hottest bars and things like that. This is a social media spectacle. This is like Rick Ross, oh, Drake got a BBL on his nose. Drake is a white boy. Bringing Birdman into the equation and things like that. This is no longer about who has the hottest bars, who has the best comebacks and things like that. This is about garnering attention. And at first I was like, I get why Rick Ross is doing it. Rick Ross, and I would doubt anyone would make the argument that Rick Ross is a bigger artist than Drake, just in terms of star power and all that other stuff. So I get why Rick Ross would want to engage with Drake, because Rick Ross is looking at like, Drake isn't gonna do anything to me. This is some time to prop up my brand, some time to make money, and I guarantee you, these rap beefs make money. These rap beefs, they make money. So I understand why Rick Ross is engaging in it. And for Rick Ross, you could tell it's not real, in my opinion, because it's like they're DMing each other, they're going back and forth about things that, oh, well, you have a jet but it's rented out, and this is no longer a real beef, if you will. So the takeaway for me is, whatever space you're in, find the attention. Find what triggers the attention. because that's where the money is. That's where the success is at. And that seems very surface level, but it's deeper because there's all of this media centered around these beefs. I'm talking about it. Other people are talking about it. Like there are some things where if it garners attention, it's hard to stay away. We got, looks like we got 23 people on the live. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Just show a little support. Goes a long way. Let me read some comments real quick. Drop a comment in the comment section. So it says, once he started crying when Pusha T dissed him, I can't listen to Drake anymore. Rick Ross, for what it's worth, never backed down from anyone. He was the first to go against 50 and walk away from it with a career. Yeah, so it's hard right now looking at these rap beefs and saying, yeah, my artist stood on business. My artist, you know, I feel like they're real. Listen, right? I'm done looking at these rappers through the lens of are they real or are they fake? For me, it's like, did you make a good song? Did you make a good song? I'm not leaning into the whole let me figure out your personality, let me figure out who you are, and then that will determine whether I like you as an artist or not. It's like, I don't, if you're rapping about killing people, if you're rapping about guns and all that stuff, I'm just gonna assume that you're not being authentic. I'm just gonna assume that you're not being authentic. Like, I get it. You own a gun. Okay. Right? I can only listen to so many songs of yours where you're talking about gun ownership. Right? I don't, all right. Like, there are open carry classes, there are gun classes, there are like, I want to hear something else besides that. So I really want to understand from y'all, if y'all want to chip in on this conversation in the comment section maybe. I want to understand, what do you guys get from these beefs? Like, what is your takeaway? Because my takeaway is this is all about attention. My takeaway is, much like I noticed that when Kanye West is about to drop a project, now all of a sudden Kanye West did something crazy. Every single time Kanye West about to drop an album, now he's talking about Hitler, or he's talking about Trump, and he's talking about white supremacy, and he done said black people that slavery was a choice, right? He's garnering attention. And I think this is what many people don't understand, is that particularly with rap, it's the rap business. It's the rap business. And it's not enough to just say, for most artists, well, this artist is coming out with a new album. Yeah, for their core followers, that may be enough, right? Like when, for instance, I'm a content creator. RDC World, right? They create content that I consume, but they don't have to go out and do some sucker stuff in order for me to then want to watch. They just put out the content. And that's what I want to get to, is just put out your music, just put out your content. But it seems like in the rap game, it's not enough to just say, here, I put out an album. There has to be all this other stuff attached to it. I put out an album, and then I went out and I started this rap beef. I put out an album, but now I'm in the club acting a fool. Is this for attention? Is this because I know that the media is going to pick this story up? Right? Like there's all of this weird stuff going on. And this is why I stress to people, you need to know your principles. You need to know your morals and your principles, because if you enter into a space and the way you're entering into that space and getting your money and getting your notoriety is by garnering attention in a way that is not sustainable, you're gonna burn out. You're gonna burn out, and you're going to start feeling regret, and you're gonna start despising whatever it is. And this is what I think happens with a lot of these artists, but a lot of people in general. They do something to get that job. They do something fake. They pretend that they're somebody else. They put on a different voice. They put on a different attitude just to get their foot in the door, right? That getting your foot in the door can be one of the most dangerous things you can do, right? Like getting your foot in the door, you have to be very careful with how you get your foot in the door. It's not just about putting your foot in the door. It's about, okay, How did I put my foot in the door? Because more of that is going to be expected. So if you're a rapper and you put your foot in the door by talking about killing people, by talking about how tough you are, by talking about nobody could do this and do that, and all this other stuff, right? Pretty much you're a criminal. If you put your foot in the door in the rap game talking about you're a criminal, and that's how you built your fan base is going to want to hear more of your criminal activity. They ain't trying to hear that you peaceful now, right? Like nobody wanted to hear Malcolm X talk about turn the other cheek now. Nah, you done told these people by any means necessary, right? But if you would have came in talking that, people may have been receptive to that message because that's what they think you're about, your core fan base, and you would have pushed away the people that wanted the by any means necessary and attracted the people that wanted a more peaceful way, like MLK did, just as an example. So I think that's what's going on with a lot of these rappers is they attract this attention because that's how they get their foot in the door. And then on top of that, they have to keep doing it. So in your own personal life, to push it back to you, all right? Push it back to the listener, my audience. In your own personal life, whatever it is you're engaging in, whether you're starting at the bottom or whether you're midway or whether you feel like you're at the top, right? Focus on what type of attention you're garnering. What type of attention? There's different types of attention. What are you doing to get that attention? Because the more you do that and the more attention it garners, the more you're gonna have to keep doing it because that's what's expected of you. So like for instance with J. Cole. J. Cole came out and apologized for dissing Kendrick Lamar, for responding. Can J. Cole now ever make a diss track again and be taken seriously? I don't think so. I don't think you can do that because part of dissing somebody, right? Like I don't know if any of y'all have ever been in a roast session, right? Part of roasting somebody is even if you don't believe what you're saying, you need them to believe it. You need them to believe that when you call them a nappy-headed, big-nose, trash bag-looking dude, that you really believe that. You need them to believe. You need them to know that when you say that your hairline so pushed back that you got to say yes sir like this if you was in the art. You need them to believe that you actually believe that, even if you don't. That's just part of the game, right? You can't then just come back out and apologize and be taken seriously as far as further diss tracks. Maybe as an artist you can be taken seriously, but in terms of you responding to a diss or you getting on tracks saying this, saying that, you can't be taken seriously in that light. And so J. Cole didn't want that attention. He said, here's that attention back. He realized that he got a type of attention he didn't want, and he said, here's that back. Right? And to put it in different terms, it'd be like, here's $1 million check. And at first you thinking this $1 million check is good, this is your money. Then they come in the next day talking about you gotta sell out, or you gotta put a dress on, or you gotta do this and you gotta do that. And he's like, here's this money back. Yes, he gets he gets all this attention for giving it back, but at the same time on the back end, he no longer has to deal with certain type of attention that he was getting before. I think this is important. I think we need to start looking at these rap beefs for what they are, which is just attention magnets. Most of these rap beefs are not real. Most of these rap beefs, and they're not actually two people that have a legitimate issue with each other. It's like Rick Ross and Drake have made multiple tracks together. They have personal issues, I guess, with each other, but at the end of the day, they were able to keep all of that stuff out of the public eye, but now they bring it in the public eye and want it to come off as authentic because you're telling the masses about these things now, but you were cool. You knew these things behind closed doors, right? This isn't about us finding out the truth. This isn't about us using this information to now make a decision on whether we consume this person's art, whether we consume their music. This is about you garnering attention for talking down on this man. So focus on the attention. Focus on the attention and who could benefit from the attention. All right, let me read some of these comments. So we got Sean in the building. He said, rappers these days are super trash. These rappers are good examples of what we should be these rappers are good examples of what we should be acting like. They're all money hungry. No, J. Cole never did a diss. No, J. Cole could never do a diss. Right. I do think it centers around money. I think it comes back to money. I think that they understand that it's not enough to just drop an album now, especially with social media. Maybe back in the day when the media was, yeah, I think, Sean, you admit, aren't. Maybe back in the day when social media wasn't centered around, or media wasn't, it wasn't social media and it wasn't so fast. But like, if Biggie dropped a diss on Tupac, it'd be very difficult for Tupac to then go and have the ability to drop a diss that same day, or respond back that same day. With social media, someone could say, so you could go back and forth with somebody in real time, right? Like Rick Ross and and Drake could get on a live and go back and forth in real time. You didn't have that back then. So the diss, it was like it had time to breathe and it had time to actually culminate, and there wasn't this instant like, okay, I just said something about you, now you saying something back 5 minutes later. Like these men, Drake and Rick Ross, they DMing each other. They DMing each other, and there's something in my mind that tells me that they've had a respectful conversation, and that these are businessmen, and they've put on their business suits, and they're going to capitalize off of this as much as they can. Right? This is now a business decision. This is a business decision. These are, whether Drake is doing it to uphold an identity that he's one of the greatest rappers and he needs to be authentic and he's not going to back down. Whether Rick Ross is doing it because it's going to bring attention to his brands and what he's doing. I see him taking pictures with the captions talking about the BBL Drizzy, but he has the alcohol and his brands in the picture. I peeped that. I see him showing his lifestyle. I see him showing all of these things while he's making these disses and things like that. I understand it. It's branding. It helps to further the brand. Drake's brand is being furthered and grown because now he's standing on business, and in rap you need to be authentic. And so he's had the allegations and I guess proven that he's had ghostwriters, Drake, and things like that. So he has to do everything he can to uphold that image that he's authentic, he's real, and he's not gonna back down because he's in songs talking about he's the best of this and the best of that, and don't cross him because he's really gonna do this and really gonna do that. So he has to protect the brand. He has to protect the brand. Rick Ross, same thing. He's, I'm Rose, don't cross me, blah blah blah. So he has to protect the brand. So in rap, many of these rappers' brands are centered around who can be the most violent, who can be the most aggressive, who can stand on business, who's willing to go to prison, who's willing to risk it all and do all this other stuff just to not be disrespected. And so when that is challenged, you have to protect your brand. Right? It's about brand protection. It's like if you're a brand where you say that you're a vegan brand and you're saying that your food doesn't have meat in it and it's healthy, and someone comes out and says, actually, the chicken patties that you've been putting out, those have real chicken in it. That's not vegan. That's actually meat. Well, now you gotta protect your brand and do what you can to say, oh no, this isn't. Look, we did this test. Maybe you do some publicity stunt where you have an expert go in and test it and all this other stuff, right? You're protecting your brand. That's what these rappers are doing, right? When they diss and they respond and all this other stuff, they're protecting their brand, or they're trying to put their brand in a certain position. Kendrick, when he starts the diss, he's positioning his brand. I'm the best. I'm calling these other rappers out. I'm leading the pack, right? I'm howling at the moon, and that's gonna make these other wolves howl as well, right? That's a different thing. The response, I'm protecting my brand. So it's all about branding to me. It's all about the money. We got a comment says they're all paid actors. The music industry gives them their script. I agree to a certain extent. I think that there's definitely benefits to behaving in a degenerate way. But I appreciate y'all supporting. If you are watching this live right now, please hit that like button. Please hit that like button. And if you are watching this on replay, hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day.